Good morning. Welcome to Energy Works. Today we're talking about, are you doing too much? And we could probably all say yes to that at different times. So we're working on trying to understand what our motivation is and why we have the desire to do so much. And as always, if there is somewhere in your body that's complaining, can you please tell me? Because that will tell us where the energy is stuck and will tell us, where we have to start hunting. All right, so we're going to begin with the crown chakra, which is about our connection to God. I am greater than any possession or relationship that I have. It's okay to peel away the layers and expose the real me. My electrical circuitry and brain chemistry work in harmony for my highest good. Age 6. Good morning, Catherine. So age 6 and some stuck emotions. Feeling taken for granted. Let's go the opposite. Let's go like people being grateful for me. I'm valued. I'm cherished. I'm honored. I'm supported. She said, oh my gosh, I feel exactly the opposite. You feel that you're loved and you're cherished, or you feel taken for granted. All right, age 8. All right, so Catherine says, not cherished even by myself. Okay. So that one's got some generational baggage from your dad. So your dad taking himself for granted too, I guess. So the feeling of self-abuse. So let's say I no longer need to abuse myself. So age 6. age 11, 33. Good morning, Margaret. Catherine's said, I've always wondered what the definition of self-abuse is in the emotion code. I think self-abuse is where we throw ourselves under the bus, where we do what's best for other people, but not necessarily what's best for us, which I think is a very common experience, especially for women. Some men as well. Some can be self-sacrificing, and particularly if they have relationships in which they don't feel valued. And why am I so valued? Age 8. Age 46. So we're going to go in the throat chakra, sorry. So, I'm releasing all influences that are unlike love. I'm creating positive thoughts and actions. I guess if we talk about this like self-abuse a little bit more, it's like we have this, if we say like service, abuse. So it's like there is a line, because it's nice to give service, it's nice to help people, nice to feel that we can do good. But when we start to go into self-abuse, it's not good for the other person, and of course it's not good for us. So it's like learning where the line is, and when to say, oh, actually that's too much. Because sometimes we can't do that or don't do that. Age 6. And sometimes as children, we'll do what we feel is best to make our parents happy, because if our parents are happier, they're not going to harass us as much. So it's like we do what we need to do to get the love and attention that we need. All right, back to the crown chakra. And we talked about this all, I think, last week, is spikenard. So spikenard is the oil of gratitude. By opening the soul to acceptance and gratitude, spikenard assists individuals in seeing the deeper meaning of their lives, in their lives. And another oil we might put with that is ginger. So ginger is about empowerment. Sometimes we don't feel very empowered. All right, ginger addresses deep patterns of victim mentality, which is evidenced by feelings of powerlessness, believing everything is outside one's control, refusing to take responsibility for life, or blaming life circumstances on other people or outside influences. Victims feel stuck as they decentralize or disown responsibility and blame others for their misfortunes. Catherine said, "Is it self-abuse when you put another person ahead of yourself, even if it is to your detriment? When you have to choose to save them or yourselves?" Well, that's a fine balance, isn't it? And sometimes it goes, wobbling on that line between service and self-abuse. So it's like, what is sustainable? And sometimes we do have to put ourselves up above and beyond. If you have a child that gets injured or is deathly sick, you're going to be putting all your effort into that child until they're well enough to survive. But does it mean that you didn't abuse yourself? Well, no, you probably did, but it was what had to happen. Right, age 3. Sometimes as little kids, we don't want to make a problem, so we might not complain, or we might put up with something, or we might try and, make the people around us happy. So we might use the ginger to feel empowered. Okay. All right, so let's just check in. All our windows are open. All our shutters are closed, so it's like we should open our windows to let in the light and, the influence of God, the Savior, the Holy Ghost. And then we need to keep all our shutters closed to keep out the negativity. But some people get a bit mixed up and they let in the negativity. So a generational component to that from mum's side of the family, mum's mum, and the women. 44 generations of women. And if you go back that far, it was harder for women to be empowered in those days. They had no rights. They had no rights to their children. It was very difficult. Right, so hooks, sometimes people can latch onto us in an unhealthy way. Sometimes we can have entities that bother us. So entities do not have a body, so they want to occupy your body, and so they often get in via our addictions. So it's like our energy field parts, and they can get in. So we can have the standard addiction: smoking, drinking, pot, gambling, sex, food. Any of those addictions can allow these things to enter. So it's like taking time to feed our spirit as much as we take time to feed our body, and also praying for divine intervention. So God protects me, God keeps me safe. Catherine says, who would want my body? It's an entity that doesn't have one. And they don't care about you either. They don't care if they encourage you to kill yourself. They will just move on to someone else. They're not attached to you. It's just they want to have the experience of a body. Here we go. There's one showing up. Good morning, Susanna. Good morning, Jackie. And good morning, Janet. Okay, so we're talking about entities, and we're talking about how we can allow entities in via our addictions. And sometimes our addictions are for control or, to keep everybody safe. Catherine says, I have a habit of asking for a shirt of faith in my prayers in that respect. Oh, a shield of faith. Okay. Well, that's a good thing to ask for, isn't it? And even a shirt of faith is good. To feel that we can have something around us to protect us and to keep us safe and loved. Hi, Ellie. Good morning. Yes, so are we doing too much? And sometimes we can be doing too much for others, or sometimes we can be obsessed about doing too much for ourselves, where we're, trying to do every bit of exercise and healthy eating and service and all the things that we feel that we should be doing, but sometimes it's not balanced. All right, so generational baggage that's preventing this balance. Dad's side. Dad's mum. So the men on Dad's mum's side of the family. 93 generations. All right, so we were talking about the awe and about hooks. So sometimes people latch onto us in an unhealthy way. So we need to know. I guess that goes with the boundaries too, isn't it? Knowing when it doesn't feel right, because it does feel good to help people, but then there comes a point where it doesn't feel good anymore and it feels draining. So it's like recognizing when we might need to withdraw, and even the Savior would withdraw and take himself away from everybody for a time. All right. So males that have hooked into us in the past, age 12. So male friend. Good morning, Elizabeth. So we're talking again about, are we doing too much, and like trying to restore that balance. So there's some generational baggage preventing that balance, and also people latching on to our energy. So we call them hooks, or sometimes it's other weapons, and that people hang on to us. So another oil here is grapefruit. Grapefruit oil is often misused in overly strict dietary and weight loss programs. The reason this oil helps curb emotional eating is it because it encourages a positive relationship with one's body based on love, tolerance, and acceptance. Grapefruit encourages integrity by respecting one's physical needs, which I think can happen when we go out of service and into abuse. This oil assists individuals in listening to their true physical needs and impulses. It also assists them in taking responsibility for what they feel. So sometimes our feelings are a bit yucky and we don't like to feel them and we want to avoid feeling them, and hence the addictions. So it is hard to sit with the feelings sometimes, and it's hard to feel the uncomfortableness of them, and they can make us feel not very good about ourselves. As individuals take ownership of their feelings and get the help they need in addressing them, they no longer have a need to hide their feelings behind food, body abuse, strict regimens, eating issues, or other forms of obsession. All right, so now we're going to talk about the solar plexus chakra, which is about balancing, our power and, our ability to go and do stuff. So our solar plexus chakra is weakened by self-consciousness. So what do you feel self-conscious about? Sometimes we can feel self-conscious about how we look, or about our work, or about our home. Oh, Elizabeth says, I like to mix grapefruit with geranium oil. Smells very good. Sounds great. So geranium's the oil of love and trust. So like loving and trusting your body, loving and trusting God that we're having the experiences that we need to at this point in time. All right, so the solar plexus chakra can include digestive issues or digestive problems. So digesting our feelings. So just looking up some feelings. Not being able to control yourself. So Catherine says, I am so self-conscious about the way I move and walk right now because of my hip that I hate to be seen and refuse visitors. Yes, sometimes we can feel embarrassed about how we are or how parts of our body work or don't work. Very understandable to feel like that. But sometimes we are empowered by seeing other people's struggles, that we see that they are not allowing the things that happened to define who they are. So Ellie says, relating to not being comfortable with emotions. No, and some cultures definitely discouraged awareness of emotions. It was like you were not to feel your emotions, you were not to acknowledge them, you just had to toughen up and not feel them. Which of course doesn't work, because our Our emotions guide us to what feels right and what doesn't feel right. So there was an example by Dieter F. Uchtdorf. He was a pilot, and he explained how that you could put in the city to which you wanted to travel, and the coordinates would go in the computer. And so while you were flying, the computer would be checking, are you exactly on course? And it's like, well, no, actually, you're 1 degree out. So it's like, well, it's easy to adjust 1 degree, isn't it? But if you didn't adjust that 1 degree, then you wouldn't end up in Hawaii or wherever it was that you were going. So it's like our feelings are helping us to adjust our course, because it's like we're not exactly on course. It doesn't exactly feel right. I'm able to allow my emotions. So sometimes we're not allowing ourselves to feel our emotions. Age 4, age 33, and also age 9. So I don't know if any of those are significant to you or they make sense. And I guess we feel much more inspired by people that do have difficulties, that keep moving and keep trying to help themselves do better. It's hard to feel inspired by people that have it all together, and social media tend to portray the best of what we have, showing the best of our life, which there's nothing wrong with that, but it's not the whole truth of who we are. And so people have this slanted view of who we are, which is not necessarily true or real. All right, layers of the aura. So the fourth layer of the aura, which is similar to like the heart chakra. So it's about interactions, relationships, and bonds. So chronic collapse of part of the aura. So females currently, the feeling of stubbornness. So what do you feel stubborn about? And I can be very stubborn. It's like, I'll do it myself. But sometimes that's not helpful, and allowing others to help us allows us to have deeper and more connections with other people. And as we allow people to help us, they allow us to help them. And so it's like we make a network of people who support each other, which is wonderful. So bad team do not want that. They do not want us to feel that we have love and support. They do not want us to feel that the Savior loves us. It's like anything to block that. Okay, so Ellie says, stubborn about letting others in. Yes, there can be great fear with that, because it's like, if we let people in, they can see who we really are. And we have, the good parts of us and the bad parts of us. And both are valid. Both teach us things. The bad parts are the opportunity to change things and to improve and grow. So we need them. But often we want to deny that we have a bad part. So that can be quite scary for some people. Now, also stuck in that fourth layer of the aura are females from the past, age 8. So, female friend from when you were 8. Again, that taken for granted feeling. Okay, so I'm back in the crown chakra. I know when to surrender and let go. And sometimes that's a really hard thing to know. And we can sometimes see that surrender is failure. But is it really failure? Is it that what I'm doing right now isn't working for me? And I need to, reconsider ways to think and ways to be and ways to live my life. We're still working about that and letting others in. So I'm able to let others in. So generational baggage on that one from dad's mum's side of the family and the women. 97 generations of women. So you can see why this is so hard to let others in, because it's been such a traditional pattern passed down from generation to generation of not letting others in. It's not safe. We have to protect ourselves. We don't let people know how we feel. It's like a sign of weakness almost to let people know how we feel in some people's family tree. All right, so big breath in and out. All right, so now, Ellie, how do you feel about letting others in? Ellie says more hopeful. Good. I think you have a lot of love to give. Yes, safer. Good. A lot to share, and as we let people in and maybe see a little bit of our vulnerability, it encourages them to try to, and they can be brave to share their vulnerability as well. I accept my inner wisdom. So sometimes certain feelings feel very uncomfortable and we don't want to deal with that. It's like, no, I don't want to borrow that. But it's the opportunity to see it differently and to clear the baggage, which may not be ours. Sometimes it's purely generational, which prevents us from feeling what we would like to feel. And really, when we work with people, a lot of people have similar feelings. A lot of people have, the inner critic or the perfectionist, or, it's like the way that we see that we ought to be and that we feel like we're failing miserably because we're not doing it perfectly. All right, so the value of Patience. So sometimes we have to be patient with other people, or sometimes we have to be painful. Uh, conscious of other people, but also ourselves. So Catherine says, I struggle with the help I'm getting from others right now. I feel like a terrible burden on people. That's true, we can feel like that, but sometimes people need to feel that they can offer service, that they can be of use. So sometimes it's hard to be the person that's receiving the help, yet we all learn and grow through this service, isn't it? It's like allowing people to help us is humbling, but also it allows connection to other people. All right, I am patient with my children when they struggle to grasp new concepts. And that can be adult children too, doesn't it? Have to be little. Lisa says, I also feel like that often. Yeah. All right. I like this one too. I know this too shall pass. Yes. And there is always light at the end of the tunnel. And it's not an oncoming train. I guess to take a step back from our problems sometimes to see, well, what am I supposed to learn from this? How am I growing through this experience? What's it teaching me? All right, I am patient under pressure. And sometimes we can become impatient with other people and we can feel irritated and they're not on board helping us, or they're not, got the same goal in mind. Or sometimes we could just be angry at ourselves that we're not progressing as fast as we would like. And of course, being angry with ourselves is detrimental to our body and detrimental to our mind and our energy field. So it's like we're attacking ourselves with an axe, which is not great. So it's like keep asking ourselves, what am I supposed to learn here? What am I supposed to understand? How can I carry these burdens better? And I think allowing other people in to talk with us and work with us and understand us is very powerful. All right. So sometimes we have purpose within our heart. That can be a bit scary. And sometimes it's hard to commit to what we feel is that purpose. So when we follow our purpose, we feel energized, invigorated, and hopeful. When we ignore our heart, we feel sad, depressed, exhausted, and defeated. We cannot see the light ahead. The saying that you have to put one foot into the dark and the light will come is often true. We may feel strongly to accomplish a goal, but not see clearly the way to accomplish it. So, committing yourself to what you believe is so important. When we make this commitment, our mind and our whole being look for new means to make it happen. So it's like we have to make this decision of the direction in which we're going. We may not know all the steps, but we only have to take one baby step into the dark and trust that we're going to be given the next step. So this commitment will bring up a huge amount of fear or resistance. This is where energy clearing on our goals is vital. When we face our fears and address the feelings, we truly begin to grow. This is profound yet so scary. Okay, so it's safe to change. And it's hard to change. We're so used to doing what we want to. Catherine says, I feel very misunderstood, so I go the other way and try not to talk to people. So generational baggage on being misunderstood from dad's mum's side of the family again. 23 generations. So grief. So we feel like, sad and like crying and hiding because we don't feel understood. So this is not just ours. This is how our families felt through the generations. My new business serves others in a meaningful way. So, is there a business that you're trying to set up? Is there an idea that you have that tugs at you that you feel as something I want to do or something I want to have a go at? Because I feel that often these things are inspired, but instantly following the inspiration comes the opposition. Oh, who do you think you are to do that? This isn't the right time. You can't do that. So it's like have the inspiration, wait for the hit because you know it's going to come. And as long as you're recognizing what that is, then you can sidestep it because, like, yeah, nice try. This is what I'm being told to do, and I feel inspired to do, and I'm going to follow those directions because this is where I'm supposed to go. We may not know all the details, we may not know exactly how that's going to look, but the inspiration is worth hanging on to. Okay, so now we're going to go up into one of the higher chakras, so the solar star chakra. Others accept who I am. And others can be very general, isn't it? Sometimes the people that we wish would accept us who as we are may not, but that means it's the opportunity to find other people who are more in line with what we feel or what we understand or in the direction in which we are choosing to go or feeling inspired to follow. All right, so relinquishment of judgment. So sometimes we can be very judgmental um, to ourselves and to others. All right, relinquishing judgment does not imply abandoning our morals or social etiquette. It allows greater compassion and an opening for rising above differences with a win-win mentality. So now we're going to talk a bit about forgiveness. Forgiveness is a very powerful thing, one of the most powerful things, I think. I need to forgive a shopkeeper. So I don't know that. So from the past, age 16. So a female shopkeeper from when you were 16. So I don't know, did you have a part-time job? Was someone abusive to you when you were young, not acknowledging who you are? So Catherine says, my daughter is struggling with knowing the direction of her business. And I guess sometimes it's like thinking about who is your ideal client? Who are the people that you most feel comfortable with and feel that you can help? Even sort of writing a little avatar about who's your person and how you can help them, what are the ways in which you could help them. Because if we know who we're talking to, who our ideal people are, we can use colors and themes that would speak to those people. And I remember I had a business coach a few years ago, and she's like, well, who do you help? Well, I can help anyone. She said, yeah, I know that. But she said, who do you really love helping? Who do you really relate to? Who do you really feel are your people? And it was like, oh, yeah, some of my friends are people that I really enjoy working with most. And so it's like recognizing the people that you do feel comfortable and safe with and feel that you have something to share with. All right, the next value that comes up is trust. I trust my intuition with an unwavering security. And sometimes we do just have to rely on that. What feels right? What feels good? Sometimes there are people that we could work with that seem really good, like their credentials look good, what they do is good, and we feel, like we'd like to emulate them. But then talking to that person may not feel good. So it's like that's not the direction that we should go. And we really do have to trust our gut on what feels right. All right, I trust in the power of forgiveness. So forgiving ourselves, which of course then goes back to the, doing too much. Because it's like we want to keep ourselves so busy and feel like we're proving to ourselves that we're doing enough. Whereas sometimes we're not doing the things that we really feel in our heart that we should be doing, and we're doing lots of other things. All right, I'm worthy and deserving of other people's trust. And I'm sure you are. Most of you are very beautiful people who are wanting to help the world be better. So Catherine said, I'm working on trust right now. Yeah. Trusting ourselves, trusting God, trusting the experiences that have happened, even though they're really yucky, that they are for our good and the stuff that we needed to learn, that we wouldn't learn it any other way. Okay. Back to the solar star chakra. I let go of the feeling I will miss out on experiencing something. All right, the opening of the 10th chakra gives way to the giving up of judgment of oneself and others. There is an understanding of the lessons in their own journey, and they begin to see the divine in others. And we're all given weaknesses for a reason. And these weaknesses are the opportunities for this to become our strength. So even right now that we might be addicted to keeping ourselves too busy, there is learning in this, and there's a way to turn this around. All right, so now we've just by way of announcement, we've got a Energy Works just get together, which is just like we bring a blade of food, we sit around, we have a chat, we clear some energy, we cry a bit, we laugh a bit, we support each other. And that one's on the 8th of August. So we usually do it at 6 p.m. at the clinic in Padstow, which is 41 Carhorse Road, Padstow. So just let me know if you're coming. We'd love to have you. You can bring a friend. Anyone's welcome. And I had arranged to do the next Energy Works, the 4th, 5th, and the 7th, but there's been a hiccup. So I'm going to have to rethink those dates. So I'll have anyone that said they wanted to come, you'll have to talk to me, and we'll have to work out when else we can fit that in. Okay. All right. So let's check in. How are we feeling? Catherine says thanks. All right, anyone else, anywhere else coming up in their body or anything else they want to talk about before we close? Okay. All right, thank you. Oh, here we go. Jackie says, I feel sick. Some sort of bacteria in your stomach. And also like an underlying virus. Affecting the spleen. Also the feeling underneath of that being taken for granted. People taking advantage of your kindness. The feeling of lack of control. So what would you like to control? Thank you, Margaret. Ellie says, feeling more open, thank you. Was it the 8th of August to get together? Yes. I hope I got that date right. It should be a Saturday night. Okay, so Jackie says, lack of compassion from my dad. So that's also got a generational component from your birth mum, the lack of compassion from other people. And the feeling of frustration. So oxygen, not getting enough oxygen. So all right, so some nutrients for the oxygen to help you get oxygen. So iron. So foods that contain iron, of course, we can do like red meat, but also I think about parsley, pine nuts, um, beetroot. You could probably Google some more. So trying to eat more iron-rich foods because iron helps our oxygen carrying capacity. So from your birth dad's dad, and the women, there's a problem with the oxygen carrying capacity in the genes. So 4 generations of women past your dad's dad, birth dad. And why do I feel so much love? Which goes back to your birth. And of course, being adopted it's a load of rejection, isn't it? Through no fault of your own are you given up. And even sometimes, it's young people that fell pregnant that weren't able to support a child. So it can be very hard. All right, I easily process my personal feelings. I'm creating my life with joy and stability. So you're, again, with having been adopted, there would be a plethora of feelings that you would have felt from your birth mum about, how to cope, about what was going to happen, maybe recrimination against herself about the situation that she was in. It would be a lot to process. So you would be, when you're in your mum's belly, you would have been feeling so many mixed feelings. And sometimes it's hard to digest all the feelings that we feel. The feeling of helplessness, which would make sense that she didn't feel that she could do the job of caring for you on her own. Bitterness about it. I don't think any mother that gives up a baby for adoption ever stops thinking about them, and worrying about them. And, some feel very embarrassed about what happens, or some just feel very sad about what happens. And some try to reach out to their children, and some don't want to. It's a very mixed bag. All right, so the nausea also generate a generational component from your birth mum. Her having trouble digesting her life. Her feeling rejection, as do you. Heartache. Things didn't go to plan. Things aren't perfect. Things aren't exactly the way I thought they should be or could be. All right, so checking in with your nausea. How's that feeling, Jackie? So less, okay. A little bit more generational stuff from your mum's side of the family, birth mum. Birth mum's dad. And the men. 43 generations of men. Feeling sorrow. It's a lot to digest, isn't it? Okay. So thank you for being on the call. I will close the call now. If you still don't feel okay, let me know. We can do a session over the phone if you need to, or in person if you want, or yeah, just let me know. Happy to be helping, happy to be there helping you to live your life in a healthier, happier way. And trying to help you to feel, and me too, to feel less like we have to be too busy. Thank you, Ellie. All right. All the best. Mwah. Have a great day.